Welcome back to the channel. Hope you're all keeping safe and well. I'm absolutely delighted to bring on very special guest, Lee Judges, of course, Arsenal fan, and of course, from the channel Lee Judges TV. Lee, how are you?
Yeah, all good. Thank you very much, Chris. A little bit nervous getting there, isn't it? The old North London derby nerves, which is a good thing. I always think that's a good thing. You know, a little bit nerves before the game. Looking forward to it.
Of course, the North London derby, Thursday evening, 7:45 kickoff at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. I was going to ask that exact question. How are you feeling? Because, you know, some people tend to feel excited about this game. Nervous? Are you confident?
Do you know what? I'm never ever confident with an Arsenal Spurs game. I learnt my lesson back in '91 when we was on for the double, and going to Wembley that day, thought we was nailed on to win it, and we didn't. So I've never ever. I learnt my lesson that day when it comes to Arsenal and Spurs, and I've always been a little bit cautious going into that game. Listen, I think the 4 points is a nice thing to have going into the game, like a 4 point lead. Not going to lie, if I think it was 2 points, 1 point, or even, you know, should I say it, Spurs had more points than us, it would have been a nightmare. And at one stage, it looked like that might have happened. So all of those things with that. But also, I'm looking forward to it because, obviously, as a fan, I've not been to Tottenham's ground before, new stadium. So I'm looking forward to seeing that. I'm not done about looking forward to seeing like 56,000 Spurs fans, but like we'll see. But I am looking forward to the stadium. Like all my Spurs mates are saying, oh, you know, it's fantastic and all that, and it'll be good to see for myself tomorrow.
It should be extremely noisy as well, Lee.
I'd imagine so. Look, listen, I've always said it. The best atmospheres are whenever I've gone as a away fan have been White Hart Lane, the old White Hart Lane, and that was 35,000 of you buggers in there, like, you know what I mean. So what it's going to be like with a lot more. And listen, Spurs are going to be up for it, of course they are, like, you know, and it's going to be very, very noisy. But we'll make a little bit of noise as well. Don't worry about that. You know, our away fans have been fantastic this season. So I think that the atmosphere is going to just make it even more special as well tomorrow, if I'll be honest. So, you know, don't let me down, you Spurs fans, and be quiet there tomorrow, will you, like, you know?
It won't be quiet, I can assure you. Lee, you mentioned the 4 point gap. Of course, Arsenal in fourth spot, Tottenham Hotspur in fifth, 4 points behind you. Are you surprised that Arsenal and Spurs are both fourth and fifth, respectively, at this stage of the season? Because, you know, let's be honest about it. You know, it's been a very up and down season for both clubs.
Yeah, I'm going to be honest. I think realistically, beginning of the season, I would have said that Arsenal probably be fifth and sixth, with Spurs battling it out for fifth and sixth. You know, Europa League football. I didn't think that we'd be challenging fourth because I've just thought that with the signings that Manchester United made that they would be there, but they've shot themselves in the foot with what they've done. It's left the door open ajar for Arsenal and Spurs to try and get through, and you know. Other teams have had a chance. West Ham were in there for a little while. Wolves were in there. But ultimately, Spurs and Arsenal have, I would say, like, kept their form, but they've managed to win games and be a little bit more consistent, I suppose, than the other teams around us. I think, like, by getting 2 or 3 wins on the trot, Spurs have done that a couple of times. Arsenal have done it. So it's a straight shootout between the pair of us now, like, you know, and unfortunately, Chelsea look like they're just over the hill and far away now. So, I did think that Spurs and Arsenal would finish either fifth or sixth. I thought, you know, I was hoping that we'd be in the, you know, fifth and getting above you. But now, obviously, that fourth spot has come available. You know, we want to take it as obviously as much as you do.
Lee, what does the North London derby mean to you? And favourite memories?
Oh, I think it's. You know, like what it means. Do you know what it means? I don't like that because you can lose to any other team, and it's bad. It's bad, but you know that if you lose to Spurs, the banter's going to get it. And you know, I've got family at the Spurs and friends at the Spurs, so it's just a game you don't want to lose. It's a game I don't enjoy, but do enjoy, if you know what I mean. It's a real weird thing, like, you know. So you look forward to them and you don't. But listen, the greatest memories. You know, the two semi-finals that Vieira won at Old Trafford. I thought we was magnificent that day. The revenge one at Wembley after the you know, like, and I always say that very, very fortunate then that day, you know, because that was the first Wembley one which you won in '91. the chances of us getting to another semi-final at Wembley was remote. But to get it 2 years later, we was very, very fortunate and to get our revenge that day. So, and of course, you know, the best time was 87 when we won the semi-final over 2 legs, and we went to a replay. It was at Spurs, and David Rocastle, God bless him, got the winner with the last-minute goal. So they would be the fond memories. I'll never forget that day when the whole of the shelf, the whole of Tottenham was singing, "We're going to Wembley, we're going to Wembley, you're not." And there was just nothing you could do about it. You just had to take it, and that was, you know, in the 87th minute, and then 2 minutes later, you know, we're singing it to you guys. So, like, yeah, that would be the best memories. I always think anytime you win at Tottenham as well, listen, it ain't happened very often in the last few years, but anytime you go out to Tottenham and win is always special, you know. Yeah, so I always enjoy. I enjoy beating Spurs anytime, but there's just that little bit more special if you do it at White Hart Lane.
Yes. Lee, how would you describe Arsenal's season?
Do you know what? It's fine lines, isn't it? I'll tell you, if we win tomorrow, I'm going to say it's been a good season because we've got to where we want to go. Do you know, like, people turn around and say, "Oh, your standards have dropped on that." No. The standards of the club have dropped over the years. We've got a chart. We've got to start somewhere, and progression is getting back into the top 4. I think if we get to the top 4, we'll look back as a good season. But ultimately, I still think there's been. I think we've lost 11 games this season. That ain't good enough if you're going to look for it to be improved. And that there's definitely improvements to be made. But ultimately, if we can get over the line tomorrow or later on in the proceeds, because we've got 2 bites at the cherry, if you like, I think we'll look back on it and say it's been a good season. But there have been some disappointments along the way as well, I'll be honest, Colin. Like, we've had some poor performances, and that's where I still have that air of not being that confident in any game, because you just don't know what Arsenal team's going to turn up. Arsenal could turn up tomorrow and be the best team in Europe, but they can also turn up and be the worst. So yeah, so the inconsistencies, I suppose, and you'd probably say exactly the same about you guys. The inconsistencies of it all, right? If I'll be honest.
But when you look at this season, though, Lee, you spent a lot of money in the summer. Of course, Spurs have had a very mixed season. Nuno Espirito Santo got the sack at the end of October. Conte's come in November. You should have probably done a lot better than Tottenham this season.
Well, not necessarily so, because we was 8th last season. You know what I mean? We're 8th for a reason, because we weren't good enough. So that when you say we've spent money, we've had to spend money to get back into that, to catch up a little bit, if I'll be honest. You know what I mean? If we'd have spent 50 million, where would that have got us? You know what I mean? So we've had to spend big to get back into the position that we're in. It's not where we want to be, obviously, but I think that to get 8th and then to be in the 4th or 5th, forgetting where Tottenham are. I think Tottenham finished 7th last season, didn't they? So Conference League. So both teams probably have. I wouldn't say have done well this season, because I don't think it's really what you want to say. But from where we was last season, we needed something, Chris. We needed to do something, and it was either get a new manager or spend some money. We decided to go down the route of spending some money, and it has improved us a little bit better. I will say this with one thing about Arsenal, which is the difference at the moment, is that of the players that we've got in, I've sort of took to and enjoying watching playing and following them about. Do you know what I mean? I've got a connection with them where I felt I hadn't with them in the past. So from that point of view, it's been good. But ultimately, listen, we could turn around and say, "Oh well, if we'd have beaten so and so, we'd have done this." Now Tottenham could say the same. It's been too inconsistent, if I'll be honest.
Would you be happy with 5th?
Not now, no. Not in the position that we're in now. No, definitely not. Listen, if you'd have said to me at the beginning of the season, would you take 5th? I probably would have done, you know what I mean? I'll be honest, because you're thinking about Man United, but when you go into the last...
It's just because it's Tottenham.
Well, there's that to it. Of course there is. You know what I mean? Like, it's the same for you. You're going to be happy being fifth. You know what I mean? You're not. Like, you know. But for us,
Well, do you know what, Lee? I'll answer that because this season for me, it was all about progression. And when when Spurs have brought in Antonio Conte, a world-class winning manager, all of the fans are really excited about this manager going forward. And, I believe that he's going to change the way at Spurs. If he's fully backed in the summer, which we hope he's going to be, who knows what he can achieve. Do you agree with that?
Oh, well, yes and no. I don't like, how much he's going to get backed and all that. Like, I think at the end of the day, what Tottenham have got is a world-class manager. I don't think anybody can argue with that. Like, so I don't think that that guarantees everything. I think Spurs have got to invest well in the summer, but I think Tottenham will be. I think I'm going to say this now. I don't think Arsenal and Spurs it'd be a total disaster if either one comes fifth and one comes fourth. I don't think it'd be a total disaster for both. I think that you can use the Europa League to bed in youngsters and bed in players and all that going forward.
Yeah.
Listen, I'll be honest, Chris, you've got a better chance of winning the Europa League than the Champions League. So, like, from Tottenham's point of view, you want to get a trophy. If you look at trophies and let's be really honest with them, the trophies that you're going for, the title, you've got Manchester City and Liverpool in that. In the FA Cup, you've got them in that. The League Cup, you've got them in that. You haven't got them in the Europa League. So you've got a better chance of winning the Europa. The Champions Leagues, they're in that as well. So you've got a better chance of winning something, I think, if you're in the Europa League. But that doesn't mean to say that's where you want to be. So yeah, listen, from Arsenal's position, if we're 4 points, in front with 3 games to go, I'll be very, very disappointed if we don't nail it, Chris. Whether it's Tottenham or not, but it'd be even sweeter if it is, Well,
Lee, you've said yourself we've got a world-class manager in Antonio Conte. You've got Mikel Arteta. He's just signed a new contract at Arsenal. Are you pleased with that?
Pleased. Yeah, I'm not. I'm still not totally convinced of him. If I'll be honest, I've got to be honest with that. He's made some really good decisions in the last few games. The game against Chelsea and all that. But before that, he made some really horrendous ones and all that. But I do think that, listen, Arsenal have given him the contract because he's been rewarded. I think he's been rewarded for what he set out to do this season. That was to get us back into Europe. And when as poor as everything was, we wasn't in Europe this year. So for a club like Arsenal not to be in Europe is not on. You know what I mean? So he's got us back in there. So he's got the thing. Hopefully, the contract signing. This is where it comes in with Spurs as well. I suppose is that by signing that contract, he's been made promises that he's going to be backed and this and that. If he is backed and gets if he gets to play, I think you'll probably say the same with Spurs. We're doing okay with the players that he ain't really, we're lacking in certain areas. But if he was to get those players in the positions that we all know we need, and he's doing what he's doing, then things can look bright for Arsenal and probably Spurs as well. So, I think that it gives us stability as well, and we know that we got going into next season with Mikel as manager. So I think that's a good thing. I think it was a clever thing as well going into these next few games. There's no uncertainty going into whatever happens. There's no uncertainty. So maybe a good thing.
Overall, though, Lee, do you think a lot of Arsenal fans are pleased with him signing the new contract?
Yeah, I think there's there's more than not. He's got tremendous. But I have to say that he's got back in that. I don't think that he's very, very fortunate to get Chris. If I'll be honest, from a lot of fans, But there's listen, he's done things to Arsenal. For a couple of years, I'll be honest, was a bit of a chore going to. It weren't very enjoyable. It was fractured and everything like that. You'll see tomorrow in the Arsenal fan base, it's not now. Everything's there. Everybody's together again. And I think that you have to give Mikel a bit of credit for that because he has certainly helped and contributed with that.
Well, talking about Mikel Arteta, he had his press conference earlier today, and this is what he had to say.
Given the significance of this North London derby and what's at stake, does this feel like it's your biggest game as manager? How much are you relishing the challenge, looking forward to this one?
The most exciting one. probably, but we had others when we played the finals against Chelsea and Liverpool in the FA Cup and Community Shield. It was the same. It's when you have the opportunity to achieve one of your objectives in the season, it's just can't wait to play the game, because this is a job and the work that you've done throughout the season to try to earn it.
The fact that you can have such a positive achievement and qualify for the Champions League, but not only that, do it at the home of your big rivals, has that been a factor in your message to the players this week?
No, the message is clear that if we win against them, we're in the Champions League next season. And I don't think you need any more motivation and to tell them anything less than that. The opportunity is there, and we're going to play and go for it like we always do, because it's how we have come into this position, and that's how we're going to approach it.
Lee, Arteta said there, cannot wait to play the game, but he didn't want to play it in January. What did you make of that postponement?
Well, I think, like, we had to do it really. Like, we didn't have a team, you know what I mean? So, listen, we're in a better position now with the players that we got now than what we didn't, So, whatever reasons there was, we were struggling. I think we played Liverpool the game before, and we was like on the bare bones, and it was probably the best thing for us to do. Tottenham are not going to agree with that, but listen, Spurs called games off as well. I think everybody did at that time for different reasons and whatever. I don't know. Like, the rules are the rules, and Arsenal, I think, bent it a little bit, and that's listen,
a little bit.
Well, listen, maybe a little bit. I don't know. The rules are there, like, you know what I mean. Like, we didn't actually say we're calling the game. Listen, I've actually teams have done it before, and at all levels and things like that. I don't think it's no secret that if we'd have played you that day, we wouldn't have been going in there full strength. And I'd be interested. Listen, Spurs weren't full strength, by the way, back then. I think Spurs are in a better position now with players than they were back then as well. Like, so listen, let's have it on an even kill. You wouldn't want to beat us with our kids out, and we wouldn't want to beat you with our kids. So, like, we'll leave it at that. Like,
3 points is 3 points, Lee. Well, this is what Antonio Conte had to say on the situation.
Yeah, but to speak now about what happened in the past, I think that is not useful. It's not useful. For sure, was very strange that our game was postponed for COVID, and Arsenal didn't have one player with COVID. I think COVID. We lost a game 3-0, and because Premier League didn't want to move our game when we had 10 players with the COVID. Yeah, I think that at that time was unfair what happened at that time. But now this is the past, and we have to be focused on the present, and to try to get the best result. And I think that this could be a good chance for us to get 3 points against the whole team, because if we played in January, maybe they were without many players because they were committed in Africa Cup, and injuries, and yeah, I think football is wonderful. Also, this type of game is right to play with the two teams, with all the players available. Yeah.
Lee, Antonio Conte agrees with you.
See, you know what I mean? Like, he ain't as bad as what I thought he was like. You know what I mean? You could see he's a little bit pleased with it, but I think he's right. I think he's right there what he says. I think that both teams need to be playing with their strongest side. That's what you want with Arsenal.
Lee, are you surprised that Spurs appointed Antonio Conte? And are you worried as a Spurs fan how successful he's been at previous clubs? And do you think that he's going to be successful at Tottenham?
Well, that's a great question. from the point of view is that, you know, people going, oh, when we were struggling a little bit with Mikel, Conte's out there. Oh, well, he's not going to go to Arsenal. He's not going to go to Arsenal. Well, he went to Spurs, you know, and so bigger, you know, you have to say under Levy, whether you like him or not, has got two of the serial winners at football clubs in Conte and Mourinho. Do I think he's going to be successful? It's very, very difficult. You know, people keep going to me like, well, what is success at Tottenham? What is success at Arsenal? I think that, winning trophies is going to be difficult. You know, Liverpool and Manchester City have sort of got a stranglehold on certain things. Tottenham and Arsenal, let's get it right. I'm not going to be winning the title for a little while, if at all, with these teams around, you know. So the cups, you might get a chance to win a cup, because you need that little bit of luck in cups and all that, like, you know. So what is success for Arsenal and Spurs? Is it winning trophies or getting into the top four and challenging? For me, at this moment in time, I don't think you can ever really be guaranteed of winning trophies with these serial winners around. Don't forget, you've had Chelsea about doing what they're doing. As poor as Chelsea have been with what's going on this season, they've got cup final this weekend, so they're always going to be there and thereabouts. Newcastle are going to be coming through as well with all their money. So I think, you know, I love it that Tottenham have got this pressure of winning a trophy, but I don't think you should be measuring success just on trophies. You know what I mean? Because, you know, look at Manchester City this season. You know, they're 20 odd points in front of us. They're 20 more odd points in front of Tottenham, and they've just gone and spent money on Haaland that we can only dream of. So where are we gonna? It's very, very difficult to say that Spurs are going to be successful because they're going to win trophies. I'll be honest, I don't think that Arsenal and Spurs are going to be serious trophy winners because of them guys.
But for Antonio Conte, Lee, you know, surely him joining Spurs, he'd come to win big prizes. He's not all about just finishing, and he said this himself. He's not about finishing 6th or 8th in the table. He wants to win things. Do you think he's going to be back?
To a certain degree, I think that he will be. But you know, I don't think if he is back, he's not going to be challenging Man City. That's the same with Arsenal. I don't think Arsenal are going to be challenging Man City for a couple of years. And you know, Liverpool, once Liverpool drop off, I think Newcastle, you know, will be in there by then. Like, you know, that's my worry. You know, so but I think that Tottenham will be challenging in the next few years for top four and things like that, and trophies. And I think that's still successful. I really do. Not what you want to hear or whatever, but I think that.
No, I prefer your honesty. But where do you stand on the whole top four or trophy? Would you rather finish in the top four than Arsenal winning an FA Cup or a League Cup? What's your opinion on that?
For me, winning a trophy. I've always said that. Like, you know, for Arsenal and Spurs, winning trophies is important. I've got an echo here. Can you hear that?
I can.
Let's go and turn it down. See if I can. Hold on a minute. Is that better?
That's better.
It's better. Yeah, I think that with Arsenal and I think it's always winning a trophy. Like, you know, the top four is great to get into the Champions League, but I'm not necessarily going to be winning. You know, are Arsenal going to win the Champions League next season? No, you know what I mean? But can Arsenal win the Europa League? Yeah, you know what I mean? And I think at the end of it, you know, winning trophies is what you want. I'll put it another way. You know, would say if Harry Kane at this moment, you say, how many trophies you won, Harry? And he's going to turn around and go, well, I've been in the top 4 or 5 times. It ain't the same, is it, as saying I've won a trophy? So, you know, like the Champions League is great. It's not the be and end all for me as a fan, because it's all about, you know, finances for the ball and things like that. I want to win trophies. You know, at the end of the day, what I would say is I'd like to win a trophy and get top 4. You know, that. But I'm not a delusional Arsenal fan saying that I think we're going to win the league, because I can't see Arsenal winning the league. But what I want to see Arsenal doing is challenging for it, you know, being involved in it somewhere along the line, you know, and I'm pretty sure Tottenham fans will as well. But ultimately, you're coming up against Manchester City side have got, you know, when you talk about Conte as a serial winner, well, they've got a serial winner in Pep, who's got money to burn. You know what I mean? Like if I say this, you know, really, and people go on about Pep, and I think he's a great manager. Don't get me wrong, but if like a £50 million Ake ain't working, I'll go and buy a £60 million Diaz. You know what I mean? Like Tottenham and Arsenal can't do that, Chris. Cannot do that. So it's going to be difficult for us to win trophies. But so when you win one, enjoy it. Like, you know, that's how I look at it nowadays. You know, like I'll tell you a story. Arsenal, we lost the league to Man United back in 2003, and we won the FA Cup the following week. And I was with my dad, you know, I mean, and I said, I'm still disappointed, you know, we ain't won the league and all that. And my dad turned around and said, you know, we've just won the FA Cup. Don't look it. You know what I mean? Like, there's many teams out there that would like to be in that position. And I just took it for granted a little bit. You know what I mean? Like, you know, and now when you win an FA Cup, you know, I make sure that I bloody do enjoy it, like, because you just don't know when the next one's going to be. So that's how I think you should look at it. And you know, trophies are not easy to get. There's only 4, and up for grabs. And for us, there was only 3 this season. And love and behold, Man City or Liverpool are going to win the title. And look at the 2 teams in the FA Cup final. You know what I mean? Chelsea and Liverpool. So 2 of them are bloody hard to win. You know what I mean? And who won the bloody League Cup this season? Liverpool. You know what I mean? So every cup competition is difficult, you know, to win.
Well, 1991 since our last FA Cup league. It's unbelievable. 2008 since our last trophy. Unbelievable. With a club like Spurs.
If you'd have said to me in 91 that Spurs haven't won it since, you know, I'd have laughed at you and said, yeah, that's great. But that's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. Yeah. You know what I mean? But that just shows you it's not easy, is it? It's not easy to win trophies.
You mentioned Harry Kane. Tell me why you don't celebrate Harry Kane's goals for England.
Because he's a Tottenham player, you know what I mean, and scores goals against Arsenal, you know what I mean. So I don't cheer on any.
So you telling me in a World Cup final, if Harry Kane scored the winning goal, you would not celebrate?
No, I'm not really that into England as much as like if I'm watching cricket or rugby or anything else over in England. I know it sounds silly. I'm very, very passionate about it and everything like that. But because I think it's football, it's tribal. You know what I mean? Like, you've got players that you hate. All really, like, you know, I mean, no disrespect to Harry Kane. I don't hate Harry Kane. It's just because he's a top player, and he every time he scores, it hurts me. You know what I mean? Whether it be for Arsenal or anybody else, you know what I mean? Because I don't want Spurs to win games. Then you hate him for 9 months.
Surely you've got to respect a great player, though, Lee.
And then, he's a great player. Of course, he's a great player. Listen, I've got a good. I get on quite well. And with Teddy Sheringham now. I know Teddy Sheringham quite well, and I told him about this story, like, you know, and when he was playing in the Euro '96, I never cheered on any of his goals, and he called me. He went, well, that's because you're a CUNT, like, do you know what I mean? I went, yeah, and I regret that now because he's a nice guy. Do you know what I mean? Like, you know, taking the Tottenham side away from it, he's a nice guy. Do you know what I mean? So it's just the way that the way it is. You know what I mean? Like, I don't really follow England as much as passionate about it because, do you know what? Say I think, say if Saka's in the squad, I think Saka should play, and if he's not playing, I get the ump. You know what I mean? Like, so I'm very, very tribal when it comes to it. Like, I don't really like other players that are playing for England. You know what I mean? Because you're against them every week, aren't you? Like, you know, so it's a funny situation. And like, but say if they go to the rugby, I love going to the rugby, and I'm very, very passionate about it. But I don't have a rivalry of teams. Do you know what I'm saying? It's the same with the cricket. You know what I mean? Like, I love cricket, but I ain't as passionate about with Arsenal. If there's a Yorkshire player, a Middlesex player, it don't really bother me, like, you know. But listen, when that World Cup was going on last time, you know what I mean? Like, don't get me wrong. You know what I mean? I think you had 5 Tottenham players going in. My Spurs mates are going like, come on, England, Hotspur. I'm not having it. You know what I mean? I'm not having it. Like, do you know what I mean? So, you know, no, I can't be cheering on England, Hotspur, like, you know.
Lee, stats-wise, of course, Harry Kane and Heung-min Son are the best partnership in Premier League history. How would you describe their partnership, and are they the best partnership in Premier League history for you?
Well, listen, that's a difficult question. You know, are they better than Henry and Bergkamp? No. Are they better than York and Cole, no. Are they up there? Definitely. You know what I mean? Like, I think Kane is one of the best strikers of England strikers. Well, one of the best strikers the Premier League's ever had. And they are a very, very good partnership. There's no two ways about that. Like, you know, two world-class players you got there. Two world-class. And what gives me the hump about them is they've consistently done it over a period of time. It's not just like one season wonders, these two guys. They've done it for 4 or 5 seasons now, like, you know, and consistently. And I think Harry Kane, I think someone was saying today that this is the first sort of full season Harry Kane's not had an injury. And he scored less goals than when he had injuries, you know what I mean? So it just shows you how good he is. So they're definitely up there as the two best in the Premier League. Like, you know what I mean? Listen, I'm a little bit biased to say if they're the best. Stat-wise, don't always go on stats. It's always on the eye. But they're definitely up there as two of the best. And they've carried Spurs for a couple of years, if I'll be honest. You know what I mean? In that, you know, and listen, I always say this, and I mean this genuinely. Why do I hate Harry Kane? Do I hate Hull? Do I hate Harry Winks? Do I hate Højbjerg? Do I hate? And no, why? Because they're not great. Why do I hate Harry Kane? Because he's great. You know what I mean? Like, he's a great player. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I hated Dele Alli for a while. I don't hate Dele Alli now. Why? Because he's not very good. Song and Kane, I hate, but it's a respectful hate, if you know what I mean, because they're good. It's as simple as that. They're good players, you know. And so I always say, take it as a compliment, like, you know what I mean, you Spurs fans. Take it as a compliment.
How many Arsenal players do you think would get into the Tottenham Hotspur team?
What, now?
Now, this season. Because every YouTube channel, every YouTuber at the moment seems to be doing all of these combined.
I can't stand it. I can't stand it.
But I want to ask the question in a different way. How many Arsenal players do you think would get into Tottenham's starting 11?
Quite a few now. I think over the last couple of seasons, I would have struggled to say 2 or 3. But now I think Ramsdale's had a great season. Whether you think he's a better goalkeeper, if we're going to go on the set, like Ramsdale this season has been to say, Tomiyasu would definitely get in. Tierney would get in if fit, but is not fit. Thomas Partey would definitely get in, not fit. I think Ben White or Gabriel would come in. I'll give you Romero as one of those players. And Saka would get into, like, unbelievably, there's a lot of Spurs players. Spurs, by the way, where are you in the league? 5th in the league. 5th in the league. Our best player, and I'm telling you, our best player at Arsenal is Saka. When I watch football, I've watched football a long while. When people say who's your best player, he's just an absolute pleasure to watch. And Tottenham fans saying he's not good enough to get into Tottenham's team, he's an absolute. I'll leave it there. Like, it's actually like saying that Eddie is going to take Kane's place. You know what I mean? Like, on there. But I think Saka would get in there. Depending on what you do, Odegaard's been a fantastic player for this season, like, you know, and if he plays well tomorrow, I think that's the person you've got to worry about. I know, like I say about Saka and all that, but I think that if he can get a little bit of space in there, he's a top player as well. So I think over the last couple of seasons, I would struggle to say 2 or 3. And listen, at one stage, I'd have been pushing maybe just a Aubameyang at one stage. That's how bad it was. But now I would say there'll be quite a few.
Lee, in the North London derby on Thursday, I'm fully expecting the same team that Conte put out against Liverpool on Saturday. Hugo Lloris in goal, back 3 of Dyer, Romero, Davis, wing back Sessegnon, Emerson Royale, in midfield Bentancur and Højbjerg, the forward 3 of Kulusevski, Harry Kane and Heung-min Son. What would you expect the starting 11 for Arsenal to be?
I would expect, it's a real difficult one here because of this 4-point buffer. What do we do? Do we go a little bit more defensively to a back 3 and match you up that way, or do we go for? I've got a little feeling. I've got a little feeling that and my mate Tom said this on a show the other day.
Oh, actually, Lee, can I just say that Arteta in his interview today, in his press conference, said that Saka and Ben White are doubts. Do you believe that?
No. Ben White's been training. you know, Saka's been taking a few knocks and all that. Like, I'll be very, very surprised if they were there. Do you know what? I'll tell you something now. When Arsenal don't say nothing, like they didn't say nothing about Ben White a couple of weeks ago, a week ago, he was left out. Do you know what I mean? So I do expect Ben White. I wouldn't be surprised, Chris, if Ben White plays right back tomorrow, and we go with him at right back, Holding, Gabriel, and Tomiyasu. Because I tell you why, because I think that we still have a little bit of stability in there, and we won't be able to go gun ho. They're not going to go gun ho. They're very more defensive minded players than attacking. So it wouldn't surprise me if he went that way. 2 in midfield, El Neni and Xhaka with Odegaard in there, and a front three of Eddie, Saka and Martinelli. I think that's what I would think there. So I wouldn't be surprised if it was that team.
Lee, what have you made of Tomiyasu? Because in the summer transfer window, I've done a lot of research on him because Spurs were heavily linked in signing the player. And of course, we ended up signing Emerson Royale. And Tomiyasu obviously can play, you know, various roles throughout the defence, very versatile. What have you made of him this season?
Didn't know nothing about him, Chris. I'll be honest, didn't know nothing about him. I know about him now. I'm very, very impressed. As a defender, I think he's a real good defender. Do you know when you get defenders that, he's good on the ball, he's good in this, does that, and all that, like, but can he defend? It's the other way around with him. That's the first, you know, and I think Arsenal have needed someone like that for a very long time. Someone that's prepared, just wants to defend and can defend. Do you know what I mean? Not been made into makeshift right backs. You know, I look at Emerson Royal, I think he's more of a wing back than a right back. You know what I mean? That's why he's probably doing a little bit better now with the 3 instead of the 4. With Tomiyasu, I just think he's just does what's on the tin. He's a good defender and he's quite good in the air as well. So like that cross ball that comes across, you know, and it goes over the fullback's head and the wide player can run onto. He cuts that out a lot because he's good in the air, like in the time of the jump. Like, been very, very impressive. You know, he's been out for a little while, but I've been very, very impressed with him. Very, very impressed.
Lee, of course, we've hosted Arsenal twice in the Premier League, once behind closed doors where we beat you 2-1. And of course, last season, in front of just 2,000 Spurs fans, a friendly earlier on this season in the Mind Series, played in front of Tottenham Hotspur fans, but no Arsenal fans. How much are you Arsenal fans looking forward to getting in that stadium?
Oh, looking forward to it. I've got to say, it's been like how many years is it since like the last time at White Hart Lane? You know what I mean? The Wembley games weren't the same. I don't care what anybody says. You know what I mean? Like weren't the same.
16-17 season.
So there you go. So it's been a while since going back to the lane. I'm really looking forward. I've got to say, I'm really looking forward to experiencing it. Like, you know, I go past it every day. You know, on the train. And it's like a spaceship, isn't it? Like, do you know what I mean? Like, it's landed at Tottenham, like, you know. So it does look very, you know, very, very impressive. I've got to say that, like, you know, and I am really looking forward to going there and soaking up the atmosphere of an Arsenal Spurs game. I don't care what anybody says. For an away fan, an Arsenal away fan, I don't know what it's like for you guys going to the Emirates or Highbury. But it's always special. It's always special going in there. The atmosphere is always. Listen, our fans are up for every game, but you're always up for the Arsenal Spurs games and all that. Like, and I remember. I'll tell you, this is a true story. A few years ago now. Do you remember when Sanchez scored right at the last minute for the 2-2? Well, I think we was down to 10 men. Harry Kane scored with about 10 minutes to go. And I've never experienced an atmosphere when that goal went in. It was just that I honestly felt the ground shaking. It was unreal atmosphere. Even though I didn't like it, the whole ground was going mad. And you know, and then Arsenal scored, and the Arsenal fans were going mad. The atmosphere was like, there's nothing better. There's nothing better than an Arsenal Spurs at White Hart Lane. It was the best experience. As an away fan, I have to say that, like, you know, so I'm looking forward to going back there tomorrow, where it's going to be even bigger, like, you know, than what it was at the old White Hart Lane.
Do you know what, Lee? At the start of the week, I was feeling quite confident about this game, and all day I felt so nervous about it. I really have. And can you believe that Arsenal could clinch Champions League football with a win at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium? You just couldn't write this stuff, could you?
No, you couldn't write this stuff. Listen. You know, I've had better days at White Hart Lane winning leagues, but at the ground. But you know, to get Champions League, that'd do. In the first time that I've ever been there, that would be a nice, nice thing to experience. I have to say. I'm not 100% sure that's going to happen, though, Chris. I think, you know, I'll take a draw now if I'll be honest. But it'd be really interesting how those last sort of 10, 15 minutes pan out if it is level or we're in front. What do Tottenham do?
Yeah.
So, you know, say, for instance, Arsenal, you know, are winning with 10 minutes to go. You know, it's going to be, you know, like a dramatic 10 minutes, that is, you know, where they're going to be launching themselves, everything. So it's going to be a very interesting game all round.
If Spurs do win this game, Lee, are you worried about the Newcastle and Everton games?
Yeah, of course. Yeah. Just as much as you would be worried about the Burnley game.
You then played Newcastle away the day later.
Yeah, that would be. Listen, there's scenarios could come out like, you know, that we lose that game and we'll, you know, then if you lose to Burnley, things that, you know, at the moment we're in a fortunate position where we've got 2 bites of the cherry. Like if we don't beat you, we've got to go and beat Newcastle. You know what I mean? So, and if we don't go and beat you and don't go and beat Newcastle, then, you know, we've got to roll our hands up and say, look, we don't deserve it. You know, 2 difficult games to go and play. Like, you know, people go, oh, Newcastle away. Newcastle, that's their last game at home before, you know, so they're going to be wanting to, you know, do like it's going to be a difficult game. That let's get it done, and dusted on tomorrow. That's how I look at it. Like, you know what I mean? Like I want it to end. Get it done. Let's get the win. Get home. And enjoy Champions League football. That's how, you know, like in the scenario it's going to be. You know, if Spurs were to win tomorrow, it puts pressure on us. I'm not going to deny that. It's putting pressure on those last 2 games, you know. So, you know, but we've got an opportunity tomorrow to nail it, like, you know, and I still think that 4 points is a good. Do you know what? It'd be even worse, Chris, if it was like 2 points and you win tomorrow and then you're in front. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, you know, we still got a little point buffer, which means that it's still in our own hands, whatever happens. You know what I mean? So, listen, you know, anything can happen tomorrow, as you know. So we just got to, you know, see what happens. And if we can come out unbeaten, I'll be more than happy. Like, you know, more than happy.
Lee, what's your score prediction?
I've actually said Arsenal will nick it 2-1, and the only reason I'm saying that is because I think that Tottenham may go in the last 20 minutes, 10 minutes, or whatever, and leave themselves open. But I do expect a really tough game. I'm hoping that Arsenal score first, because that will. I think if Tottenham score first, I think my prediction will be a little bit harder, because we play into your hands in. Because I do think Spurs are the best, if not the best counter-attacking team in the league. So we've got to get in front. If we get in front, I fancy us. Surely
you watched the game against Liverpool. Were you impressed by Spurs?
Listen, I've been impressed with Spurs on a few occasions against teams like that, Manchester City and all that. And I'll tell you what, I still think that. Do you know what? I've said this before. If it had stayed 1-0, we'd be looking at a different game at White Hart Lane now. Because I think, the atmosphere and the pressure would have been different for the Leeds game. I think that if you'd have won that game, you know what I mean, like, oh, look, you know, it's only 1 point, then it would have been 1 point. Yeah, it would have been 1 point beyond, you know, so and then 2 points, you know, that would have been that deflected goal, I think was massive, because at the end of the day, as well as Spurs played, they did drop 2 points. Which when you go to Anfield, it's not really looking at dropping 2 points. But if you add that onto the shock defeat at Brighton and the draw against Brentford, you'd have to say that you know, that to get to still be 4 points was there. And I honestly think that, you know, if it would have been 2 points, even if we'd have beaten Leeds, It would have been, say, like, we'd have got 2 points. Then you win, and then you're a point in front. There's nothing we can do. So I think that getting that point was a massive thing. And you know, fair play. Well, what was Hojbjerg doing at the end there? Because when he done that, he was through. And that's the sort of situation I can see happening with Arsenal. Do you know what I mean? Like, because Liverpool were going for it, leaving themselves open. I'm just hoping that if we get that chance, it's not someone like Hojbjerg on the end of it, like, you know what I mean? So, but listen, Spurs hit the post, was unlucky with a few things. And look, I tell you what, I thought they looked dangerous every time they went forward. Tottenham looked like they was going to score, so it was a very impressive performance. And listen, Spurs have got 6 points from Man City this season. You know what I mean? Like, if it weren't for those bloody 6 points, you know, it would be all over now. Like, but they got the 6 points, so you know, Spurs on their day are a dangerous animal because they've got those. You know, like Harry Kane that day. Do you remember that? Well, you remember it. He was sensational. We had chances. I think he had 3 chances. Two he scored, and 1 was a great save. So, you know, you've got that in your locker. So then that's why you're a dangerous animal. When you've got a couple of world-class players, we you know, and that's why I'm never going to be going, oh, we're going to go here and win this and win that, like, you know. So it's going to be a tough game.
You say that, Lee. Spurs are the only team this season to not have been beaten by Liverpool or Manchester City. 2 draws against Liverpool and 2 wins against City.
Exactly. Exactly. I think that you've actually done really, really well on that score. Like, do you know what I mean? And to not beat, you know, like, I don't know how you beat Man City on that first game, but you did. Rode your luck a little bit. Like, to go and do what you do to City on, not. You've done it a couple of occasions, like, you know what I mean? So, yeah, fair play to you. Like, I don't think Arsenal will be like that tomorrow, though. That's the good thing. If we had to win this game, we could leave ourselves open a little bit. We don't have to do that. So it'd be interesting to see how Arsenal play this, because I think that it'd be.
Do you think then Arteta will be setting them up just to come and draw?
Oh no! What I think that we'd do, I think that we'll try and play our football without being too gun-ho, being like a little bit cautious. You know what I mean? Like, I think that you'll see Arsenal will try and control the ball and things like that. You know what I mean? So listen, I'm going to say this with Arsenal. You know, I know we lost the game, but we played Man City off the park that day. I don't know how we did it, but we did. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think if we can do that, but keep it a little bit tighter at the back, I don't know. You know, I think that we'd be a little bit cautious. I think, like, I'll be surprised if that first 20 minutes we're not under the cosh. I think we will be. I think, like, that first 20 minutes we can ride. If we can ride that first 20 minutes, you know, then it might become a different game, like, you know. But, you know, like, listen, we blew you away in 20 minutes at the Emirates, and you're capable of doing that against us. So I think we've got
a low moment. That was a low moment.
You know, we've got to pick and choose our moments. I know it sounds silly, like, but, like, you know, you've got to win the game. You know what I mean? Like, if I'll be honest, you know, I talk to my Spurs mates and all that. Oh, we've got to win this game. We've got to win this game. We're sort of saying, well, we ain't got to win it. We don't ain't got to lose it. So if we just actually just be sensible. I think that's the word. Just a sensible approach, and then see how we go from there.
Lee, final question for you: who's going to finish in the top 4, Spurs or Arsenal?
I'm just going to say, like, you know, I'm just going to say, like, you know, on the because of that 4 goal buffer, we nick it. We nick it. I don't think it will go. Well, I don't think it'll go to the wire, but we'll see. We'll see. I just think Arsenal just will nick it, like, you know.
Lee, before we go, tell everyone where they can find you and what you're up to at the moment.
Yeah, listen, I know I upset you Spurs fans and all that, like, you know, and I quite enjoy doing it, like, you know. So if you ever want to come over to Lee Judge's TV, like, you know, and well, I'm over there, of course, on AFTV as well. So yeah, I've got a you know, if you want to, like, do you know what? It's a real weird thing is that I slag off Spurs and I try to upset them as much as I can, and
I don't think you do. I think you're very balanced, actually.
Well, like, you know what I mean, and I get Spurs fans coming and they go, "Oh, I can have a photo and all that." And I go, "Oh, Arsenal fan, like," and they go, "Nah, Spurs." I go, "Bloody hell, like, you know, even though you're Arsenal, we think you're all right, like, you know what I mean." So I don't know how, but there you go, like, you know. So
Well, Lee, enjoy our wonderful stadium, one of the best stadiums.
I will enjoy that. Apparently, you do nice beers there, so I'm going to have a nice beer there and watch the game, and hopefully, hopefully the 3 points come our way. But I just hope everybody has a good time, and
I hope you don't have a good time, watching the game. I hope that Spurs get the 3 points. Obviously, it's been an absolute pleasure talking to you again. Thanks so much for coming on.
No worries, enjoy it. Oh, anytime, Chris. You know what I mean. And I can't actually say good luck for the season, but you know what I mean.
Thanks, Lee, and thanks for watching, everybody. Until the next one, come on, you Spurs.